everyone. Welcome to Credential Up Houston. My name is Margaret Ford Fisher. The Partnership for 21st Century Skills has created a framework that identifies the key skills for 21st century success. Those skills are learning and innovation skills, information, media, and technology skills, and life and career skills. Well, today we will talk about the media literacy skills and discuss the Media Literacy Project at HCC that is being held to celebrate the inaugural launch of HCC's fully online college, which offers 32 fully online programs to the community. Today, we will talk about the importance of media literacy skills, how those skills can be applied across multiple fields of study, and how those skills are used in a variety of industries, locally and globally. Now, this is really exciting. So as a participant in this project, the first, second, and third place winning entries will be judged by a panel of experts and honored by the Houston Community College Foundation Board for their 21st century innovation. So to discuss this project, we are delighted to welcome our guest today. Dr. Amy Tan is the Dean of the HCC English and Communication Division for all of HCC. Dr. Colleen Reilly is the HCC Dean of Visual and Performing Arts Center of Excellence and Chair of the HCC Art and Design Council. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Indeed, so I'm sure that some individuals are wondering, well, what is media literacy? Let's talk about that. Dr. Reilly?
So I think media literacy has a very broad definition, and it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. For us at HCC in Art and Design, it's really thinking about the access that we have to media and storytelling and how to make sure we are using formal elements of design principles in using that media to tell those stories. So it's really imparting to students that the technology that they're using is in service to the voice that they have and focusing on their individual story and their individual point of view and seeing media as a tool to help augment that.
You made reference to formal design. What does that entail?
Really thinking about things like composition, line, color, gradient, thinking about communicating on a digital platform as if it were a canvas or a 3D environment. So having a sensibility of art making and approaching that.
Dr. Tan, from your division, how do you incorporate that media literacy?
So media literacy is incorporated in our Texas State core objectives under communication skills, which are defined in 4 different components: the visual, the written, the oral, and the oral. So getting students to think outside of a standard essay, right, and using digital components to tell their story or develop their voice or present their message is getting them to think with the 21st century tools that they have at their disposal and getting them to expand how they are able to convey their message.
And so critical thinking becomes a part of this as well. Is that correct in both areas?
Yes, critical thinking. I think also decision making, which we find in some of our millennial students is something that we need to grow a capacity in, is really committing to an idea, being able to justify it, sort of understanding and contextualizing why they have arrived with that particular decision. That's all part of media literacy too.
Well, it's fascinating because I used to teach English. And being in the classroom and teaching composition, you always want to focus on the introduction, the body, the conclusion, and you knew how to grade because you're looking to see whether or not there are any grammatical errors and so forth. So with this in the English curriculum where it's embedded, so how do you do that?
So we really try to get students to see their video as a digital essay. And I think, we certainly provide examples. And, growth of the documentary, right, and pop culture, right, is evidence that people are interested in this type of presentation and communication. And so we get students to look at examples, and then we try to get them to see their video, how it can be structured as an essay, but also how they can experiment, right, and break the rules of the traditional essay in successful and effective ways. So
how do you evaluate a media literacy project, for example?
Well, I think we come back to the criteria that's been defined as the sort of architecture of a project, for example. So if we're looking for artistic voice or intention, and that being the focus of a particular assignment, then we develop a criteria around that. If we're looking for strong application of color theory, then that's part of the criteria. And so it's really, and I think this is true for English as well, it's making sure that there's a foundation in conventional rules of composition, either literal or visual, and then teaching our students how to break those rules, and having them teach us how those rules can be broken.
So this is really quite innovative, and it allows students to think critically and to be innovative. And so is it difficult for students to make that transition from the traditional classroom where they are not necessarily using the media literacy to one where that is available to them and they're encouraged to use it?
Sometimes it can be, and I think I see that in all of the students who are coming from a traditional high school setting into the community college, right? They've been taught to meet certain expectations. They're used to their being evaluated with standardized tests, and so I think we sort of always meet them there, and then try to bring them into the college community where they have an opportunity to develop their own voice, right? To find out what is authentic that they want to share with the world, and so that's what we try to develop.
Well, that's very good, because I'm thinking about a lot of students who are, pardon me, familiar with the use of the smartphone and the laptops and the iPads and so forth. It would be an easy transition for them, and they're used to all of the social media. But for the student who is older, perhaps, who has not really embraced that technology, they are encouraged to pursue that, and I think that is going to become exciting for them as well. Mm-hmm. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about media literacy in industry and how students can develop their competencies in media literacy and be competitive in the job market. So we'll be right back. And stay with us, please.
HCC. So many degrees, so little tuition. Register today at hccs.edu/now.
HCC's online college is officially open. This not only means online classes, but also online degrees and certificates. You can now credential up anytime, anywhere. Join the fast-growing number of students getting their full college education from anywhere they use a laptop. HCC currently offers 32 fully online degrees and will offer 71 next year. You no longer have to find a way or time to get to college. HCC brings college to you.
Welcome back to Credential Up Houston. We're talking about media literacy today. This is really a very, very exciting opportunity for students to become engaged with all of the technologies and see how that is incorporated into not only the curricula, but also prepares them for competitiveness in the workplace. So we're talking today with Dr. Amy Tan and Dr. Colleen Reilly. So tell us about the adult student, for example, who may not be as familiar with technology as the younger students may be. How do you get them excited about media literacy so that they can also succeed in your courses?
Well, I think we approach across our art and design programs a conversation between analog and digital that's happening always. So if a student is more oriented in a digital or a media environment, then we sort of point them to the analog environment or the foundational environment, and vice versa. So those skills pretty seamlessly transfer, so it's just a matter of building confidence and having some technical education, and just sort of lowering that anxiety about using different tools and techniques for that storytelling. But I think when the impetus is really to share a vision, and you have someone who is comfortable in pursuing that, everything just becomes a tool. And it just becomes part of the service of telling that story.
Of course, and I presume the same thing for your areas.
Pretty much. I would say that it comes back to the content, right? And the desire to share a message, and to work on, again, creating that authentic voice. And I think all of our students, no matter their ages or background, they come to us and they have stories to tell. And we want to help them find the best way to tell that. And so we're really just introducing them to the different media, right, in different ways and different combinations, and getting them to think about, of course we want to develop their written skills, and we want them to master that before they leave our program, but getting them to recognize in the 21st century that they do have these multiple media at their disposal.
Right, and I think too that we all have to be well versed in it, and so there's such a broad set of expectations in the industry that a lot of the roles that our students are going into are either entrepreneurial, which means you have to be able to speak to everyone in their language, or they're sort of established design houses, and then you have to learn that vocabulary that's sort of coming from that culture. So there's all of these individual cultures that students need to be able to move across. So media is a way that students can grow that capacity of being able to tell a story in this mode, and then what it looks like in this mode, and then if it's an analog version, how it sort of exists, and then what the conversation is between those.
I was reading that some colleges have really established storytelling hours for their students, which is really, really interesting. So students have an opportunity to stand before a body of students and tell their stories. And some of them that I've heard are really very compelling. So this only adds value to that experience and that ability to be able to tell the story. So the media literacy can also be taught in a learning community as well, I presume. Is that right?
Yes.
So, and of course, also students have an opportunity to create those micro communities so that they can share their stories with others. So tell us about the learning community experience with this.
So I think we're seeing that in our development of digital portfolios, and I think one of the exciting things about media literacy is it's really democratizing the arts and democratizing design, because you no longer have to create these very expensive portfolios and have the materials to create and refine and correct and perfect. A lot of that can happen in a digital environment very quickly, very carefully, with a lot of intent, and then be distributed out to a wide audience without a lot of expense up front. And that really helps our students, meet those barriers of submitting portfolios to four-year schools that can happen in a digital environment, which is very different than having to travel and present a portfolio, which may be an aspect of it, but they have a body of work that it has a repository in a digital environment. And so when students develop those together and we have faculty review the art and design portfolios, that sort of builds the learning community of
So how does this help to prepare a student for a very impressive interview with a company across the board? And I know that you oversee multiple career fields in the Center of Excellence in Visual and Performing Arts, and you as well in the academic area of communications journalism. And so for a student who is now going to pursue this, how would this help them in a job interview, irrespective of the field that they are going to be going into?
Well, of course, as Dr. Reilly mentioned, the students are building their digital portfolio. So they have artifacts to share. So instead of saying, well, I think I would like to do this, right, in an interview, here's an example of what I have done.
Excellent.
Right, and I think the experience of building the portfolio really gives the students a sense of ownership and of clarity, because they've worked through all of the steps of really making selections and being decisive about what it is that they're presenting.
So for the skill sets in industry, what do the industry and business companies pay to graduates who have these skill sets? Any idea? What's the average income? Because it seems to me that in addition to the personal satisfaction that comes from being able to create your own story by using media and being media literate, that also there is an additional benefit as well as you go into the workforce. So I guess there is no specific information at this point as it pertains to the earning level for a person with this type of
I think it must be varied, extremely varied, and I mean, as it would be for anyone going into an entry-level job, to people working in the communications industry, and I think that it's the access, right? When you see how the digital media have really changed the industry of communications, and the YouTube movement, that we are all reporters of our experiences.
You're absolutely right. So what we're going to do is to talk about the competition for the students. And it's so exciting that I may register and enroll in a course so I can compete as well, because this is really quite fascinating. So we're going to take a break and we'll be right back.
HCC. So many ways to learn, so little tuition. Register today at hccs.edu/now.
I've seen people's lives change just by attending a class at HCC.
Some of them might not have the financial means to go to a four-year university. That doesn't make them any less quote-unquote smart than the kids who go to a four-year school.
HCC is easy to get to. It's easy to apply and easy to become a part of.
It gave me so much confidence.
Once you finish your 2 years there, you can transition into a four-year university or go into the workforce.
It's affordable, it's accessible, it changes lives.
Welcome back to Credential Up Houston. We're talking about media literacy today, and I'm talking with Dr. Tan and Dr. Reilly. And it's really very exciting because what you're doing in media literacy is preparing students who will go on to a four-year degree at a university, or those who will go into an industry that is $1 billion industry, for example. Right. So as we look at preparing the students, there's a project now that I'd like for you to tell us about that has been funded by the Houston Community College Foundation to help students to gain those skill sets for the 21st century by enrolling in your programs. So tell us about that project.
Well, we're very excited to announce the project. Students will be working on their projects in class. It's embedded in their courses. So these are possibly assignments that they would be working on anyway in their enrolled courses. So they'll have supportive faculty. We're also providing our faculty with support if they want more information on how to include these types of assignments in their courses. So we'll be offering them professional development. And it'll be a wonderful way for students to incorporate the skills that they're learning in class and then submit their project for a prize.
Yeah, I think we're really excited and very grateful for the foundation and to you for bringing this opportunity to us. It's really a project-based scenario where students will respond to a prompt reflecting on how HCC has supported their career goals, and particularly how online classes may have contributed to that as well. And so starting with that very reflective prompt, students will then craft a story that they'll express through media literacy skills. So they'll either create a video or an essay or an artwork or a logo or some kind of design that responds to that prompt. And then it will be reviewed by faculty and we'll announce the awards. So it really gives students a chance to apply their hard work on a project and then have some immediate feedback about it.
And also real world, right? This is what we want for our students. We don't want them always operating in the classroom. You know, what do I have to get an A on this project? We want them to develop the skills that are going to have, you know, real world impact, right? So that this is a chance for them to have, you know, to have their coursework have an end that is
Right.
outside of the classroom.
So what, I presume that there have been criteria established as well, and students would be able to go to your website in order to get that information, is that correct? How will they find out about it?
Well, I think all of that is in process, and so we'll do a launch of the criteria once we have the faculty review board in place, because they'll be developing that based on their areas of expertise, and we're drawing from English and communications and studio arts, filmmaking, interior, fashion, digital gaming, graphic design. So there's a wealth of experience that we're bringing to the table.
And all of those students will be able to compete
Yes.
as well in this project competition. I think that is just so magnificent because you are chair of the Council for Art and Design. And
Yes.
so tell us about that as it pertains to media literacy.
So this is a new entity at HCC, and we're following an initiative of really wanting to bring art and design in conversation at HCC because we have so many outstanding programs. We're very excited to have received the National Association Schools of Art and Design accreditation. We're the only school in Houston with that national third-party accreditation. So the Art and Design Council is really a vehicle for all of those programs to come together and really have a footprint at HCC and reach students who have those diverse areas of interest.
That sounds great. And so with that, you have a real wide and broad reach and the depth as well. Yes. To attract students into your program and to provide them with the skill sets of media literacy and preparation for further upward mobility, and that's exciting. So with the project, everything will be launched very soon, and this will be available to online students as well as to on-campus students, which is really very exciting. You will have your criteria and the judges all established. So what will be the awards that will be presented?
So we are presenting 2 awards in 2 different categories. So there will be one in the category of art and design and one for English and communications. And of course communications also we talk about it as one word, but that includes journalism and digital communications, and so it is also an umbrella. And the award for first place is going to be $1,000 for each award, and the award for second place will be $500, and the award for third place will be $250.
That is amazing. Yeah. And thanks to the HCC Foundation, yes. This is going to help make a difference in a lot of students' lives. Well, we will continue this conversation on another program, and perhaps our studio audience will have questions about the project in just a moment. So we're going to take a break right now, and when we come back, we'll go to Alba Romero and our studio audience for questions. So please stay with us.
HCC. So many careers, so little tuition. Register today at hccs.edu/now.
One of the objectives we had with moving from centers of delivery to centers of excellence was to strengthen our relationships with industry across Houston. The whole idea of the Center of Excellence was to create an ecosystem where our partnerships are so tight that we can quickly develop programs that support industry, create jobs here in Houston, and then grow the economy and keep us as a global leader in many areas.
Welcome back to Credential Up Houston. We'll now go to Alba Romero in our studio audience for questions. Alba?
Thank you, Dr. Ford Fisher. Jonathan is here and he has a question about financial aid.
Yes, if one of the students wins the prize, would that affect their financial aid possibly?
The short answer is no. We do not, it will not impact the financial aid. The check will be issued by the foundation directly to the student.
So even if a student is graduating, they're still eligible to participate in the competition. So we could not be more excited, and it just really shows an investment in this media literacy as something our students need, and we appreciate that from the foundation.
Joe is here and he has a question.
What classes do I have to take in order to do the project?
On the English and Communications side, I would recommend English 1302. However, any student who is enrolled in any course at HCC is eligible, but we will be focusing on 1302 for that dedicated support.
For art and design, students will need to speak to the individual professors in those programs because there may be a project in the course or the professor may just support them in this endeavor. We also will have some cohort activities where we offer open studios for students who want to explore this, this project through art and design, and we'll have faculty support on site for them.
I would also recommend if you're in a HUMA course, because many of our humanities professors will be supporting the digital literacy or the media literacy projects. And in fact, we're some of our early adopters to the digital literacy project. Also, anybody in a communications or journalism course would have support.
Well, this is really very exciting, and obviously our students and the audience members are eager to find out more information about it and to participate as well. And I must agree with what you said about thanking the foundation for their support. As we look at preparing our students for the 21st century, there are some skill sets that we want our students to have. And so this will help us in a major way to integrate that, not only into the curriculum, but to encourage more of our students to acquire those skill sets also. So we thank our students and our staff and the audience for asking those questions. They were excellent. We thank Alma Rivera as well, and we thank you for an excellent program today. This is really very, very exciting, and we're looking forward to the awards presentation and the excited students, as well as all of their projects that they're going to present. And let me just say that as a result of the support from the foundation, they have also awarded additional dollars to support giving a souvenir to all of the students who participate in the project, and they will get a souvenir that includes the media literacy finalist presentations. So that's really exciting. So many, many thanks to you. And so for today, we'd like to thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Amy Tan, Dr. Colleen Reilly, tremendous professionals. Indeed you are. And we thank you also in our viewing audience for joining us, and of course our audience in the studio as well. And as we always say when we end our programs, we encourage you to always remember to credential up. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.